The crystal balls are rolling in. The official visit lines, they're getting really long. I think it's true. I think USC is the place to be.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I am your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you. Thank you for making Locked On USC, part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, pick your platform, download the podcast. That's all I ask. It's always free, and I always appreciate your support. Let's just be honest right now, all right? USC is in full go mode. If it was a Heisman campaign, USC is driving pedal to the metal. They are promoting itself and getting the fan base jacked up, geeked up, ready to go. They also want you to donate to House of Victory, but that's beside the point. USC feels they are in a position right now to go out and do what's necessary, win. And they're putting out all this positive vibe, all this juice at the perfect time, because right now recruiting is the Trojans recruiting, getting all the national headlines. Believe it or not, yeah, it's happening. So USC has an edit. They're promoting itself right now. It's got a nice little 2-minute video playing behind it, and it's catching the attention of everybody. Even people like Josh Pate from college football. One of those, sometimes people think he's a USC hater, but he actually just did a little minute and a half, hey, look over there what USC is doing video. He's a believer right now. That's a good thing. When you got people from the South looking over the shoulder like, oh, here comes USC, we better, put in the high gear. Things are happening. People are noticing. He basically said this: USC has their ish together, and they're making all the right moves, and you like hearing that. Just to kind of let you know, Josh Pate, he grew up in the South, okay, and he talked about this. He was raised during the Pete Carroll era, so all he knew was that's USC. I gotta hate those guys. Well, not anymore. You can't hate USC when you understand what they're capable of doing. So right now, USC is the place to be. Local recruits are committing. You have other commits who are decommitting and then becoming Trojans or pledging themselves to be a Trojan less than a month later. I'm referring to Jonas Williams, the quarterback who was committed to Oregon since August of 2024. He shows up on USC's campus February 1st. And 3 weeks later, he is now committed to USC. He is USC's quarterback in 2026. One of USC's quarterbacks in 2026. And regardless of where the recruits are located, whether they're California prospects or they're coming from across the country, right now, everybody's locking in their unofficial and official visit dates. They're putting everything into motion. They're letting USC know, hey, you know what? I'm serious. I want to come. I'm in your program right now. So yeah, it's officially the visit season. So for the rest of this first segment, I'm going to check out this list. I mean, it's pretty extensive. So you got your favorite beverage. You're sitting down. You got a bowl of chips. Great. Enjoy. Here we go. So that USC is getting some big-time interest from one particular offensive lineman. He's from Utah. His name is Eason Tafa. My everydayers know this already. I've mentioned his name before. 6'5", 290 pounds. He's an interior offensive lineman. He's coming to USC for an unofficial visit March 3rd. Again, he was a one-time Husky commit. He was committed to Jedfish up there at Washington. And then he decided to, I'm going to decommit, kind of explore my options. Right now, it seems to be between USC and Utah. We'll see how that plays out. He does have official visits lined up, though. He's going back up to Seattle June 6th. He will visit USC June 13th. And then he's going to check out Utah June 20th. So again, most believe, Washington's trying to get back into the game. It's going to come down between USC and Utah. Next up on the unofficial visit list, you have 4-star defensive lineman. His name is James Johnson. He's from North Fort Myers, Florida. This is a new one. This guy's like shooting up in the On3 300 rankings. Their top 300 players. I mean, dude, just out of nowhere. 6 foot, 6 foot 2.5 inches, 285 pounds. He went from the 118th ranked player to number 14. Essentially, according to On3, he's now a 5-star. Now, my everydayers, you heard me go on like a little mini rant on yesterday's episode of Locked on USC regarding USC's second ranked class per the On3 network. Well, today I'm recording this episode. On3 released their new top 300. I'm gonna go over more of that in the next segment and how it affected the USC prospects. Anyways, 5-star defensive lineman James Johnson said this: "I want to go and see Coach Henne coaching in person." End quote. Do not be shocked if USC makes his official visit list, because basically he's going to get a chance to see Coach Henne coaching up close and personal, coaching up Thanos during spring, Jakeem Stewart, and the rest of the defensive line. And then I think he's going to leave LA wanting more. I mean, it's inevitable, right? He's also going on unofficial visits to Colorado, March 15th, Miami, March 22nd, Syracuse, March 29th, and then he's coming out to USC April 19th. And then let's see what else we got here. Oh, April 25th. Here's 2 intriguing prospects coming for unofficial visits. One of them is he's considered a top 10 offensive tackle in the country. His name is Kevin Obot, O-B-O-T. He's from the state of Idaho, 6'5", 265 pounds. He has USC, Nebraska, Ohio State, and Oregon on his list. USC is literally recruiting this young man as hard as any player on the board right now. They want him. He's been to USC's campus. He's enjoyed his time there. He's hung out with Lincoln Riley. USC might be the team to beat for this guy. The other guy scheduled to visit that same day, 6'5", 305-pounder, defensive lineman, obviously, Ben Boulware. He's from the state of North Carolina. Stock rising type of guy. Right now he's got USC and Little USC, South Carolina, on his list. Pardon me. The very next day, April 26th, USC commit defensive end from Chicago, Braden Jones. He's in town to check out spring practice. And then the official visits kick in. June is going to be a huge month. I mean, monster for USC. Always is. They always have their June bashes. Here we go. Are you ready? It's a good thing you can record this because I'm going to be rifling through a lot of names right now. So this is for the weekend of June 6th. You have Treston Keys. He's a wide receiver from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Chris Henry Jr., the number 1 wide receiver in the country, Mater Dei High School, committed to Ohio State. You've got Booby Feaster, the wide receiver from the state of Texas. Might come down between USC and Texas. Let's see, who else do we got here? Oh, the guy who committed to USC the other day. How about Simodi Katawanga? He'll be there on that weekend. All right, here's a name for everyone to remember. He's getting some crystal ball love for USC. Fong Bom, Steve Wiltfong, Malachi Lee, offensive tackle from the state of Hawaii. Basically, it's USC, Michigan, and everybody thinks he's coming to USC now. I'm just going to go through names that has USC involved here. You got Caden Dixon Wyatt. He'll be there. Ohio State's the other player. Let's see. Who else you got? Oh, how about Derek Coleman Brusa? He's an edge player from the state of Washington. What else do we got? We got Trent Mosley, wide receiver, teammate of Samote at Rancho Santa Margarita Catholic. Who else do we have on the 6th? How about Tiki Hola, the defensive lineman from the state of Texas. big time right here. USC wants him badly. Josh Holland, he'll be there. I'm going to butcher this name, but I'm going to try it anyways. Pulele E.T. Primus. He is a interior offensive lineman, also state of Texas. Right now, he is unranked by On3. And then you also have Tucker Smith, offensive tackle from Phoenix, Arizona. Love his size, 6'5", 280 pounds. USC, Arizona are the teams. The next weekend, June 13th. Oh boy, here we go. How about Braden Jones? I already talked about him. You also have Eason Tafa. I mentioned him. He'll be there as well. Samuel Utu, offensive lineman, Orange Lutheran. All right. Again, crystal ball starting to roll in. USC's really feeling it right now. Who else we got? Oh, how about Max Meyer, the defensive end, edge player from Loyola? USC likes him a lot. And then, one other player got to talk about, offensive tackle, state of Colorado. His name is Cannon Smith, USC-Michigan battle. And then June 17th, this is an official visit group that I predict USC's going to get 3 of these 4 names. You've got Brandon Arrington, the 5-star athlete from San Diego, California. You've got Mark Bowman, the tight end from Mater Dei, who reclassified to the class of 2026. Talanoa Ely, linebacker. And then you also have Tomohini Tupui Tom. He's currently committed to Oregon. I'm feeling 3 out of 4, and you know what? Let's go out on a limb, 4 out of 4. I feel comfortable saying put money on 3 out of those guys coming to USC, eventually ending up at USC. Is the way I guess I should put it. And then on the weekend of June 20th, Madden Reardon, Nick Reddish, James Scott. Madden Reardon is already committed. We're going to talk about him in the next segment. Stick around. Nick Reddish is a safety from Charlotte, North Carolina. And then James Scott, a wide receiver from the state of Texas. USC likes him, 6'5". Another Jacoby Lane type of body, 6'5", 200 pounds. Nebraska's also looking at him. So there you go. There's a lot of positivity going around USC right now. Players are getting in line for unofficial visits, for official visits. I just gave you a rundown, and this list is going to continuously update. What's the word we like to use when it comes to recruiting? It's the F word. It's fluid. I will keep you updated. All right, next segment, we're going to talk about the new top 300 from On3 and how it's affecting USC. March of basketball is here, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you're going to get up to $1,000 times your cash. It's fast, it's easy, and it keeps the games really exciting. It's quick and easy for you. Check this out. You're going to love how you can make your picks in less than 60 seconds, and then you get to stay engaged all game long. You're going to spend a minute picking more or less, and then you get to enjoy your games. You get fast payouts. When you win, your money hits your account in as little as 15 minutes. You're not waiting around for your cash. And they've got specials like Taco Tuesday deals. Prize Picks even offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesday, where you get discounted player projections for even more value. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege. You're going to receive $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. So the updated 2026 On 300 rankings were released on Monday, and USC has a bunch of commitments within that top 300. We know, according to On3, their network, USC has the 2nd ranked class. Meanwhile, rivals 247, USC has the number 1 rated class. So we're going to stick around with USC has the number 1 class as of today, February 24th. But here's a rundown of who moved up, who moved down. You tell me if you feel these are accurate. right? So you have cornerback RJ Sermons, Rancho Cucamonga. He maintained his hold on the top spot among USC commitments, while he also saw a small slide from the number 11 overall player down to number 13 overall player. He took over the number 1 spot among cornerbacks nationally, though. So do you like that? He drops from number 11 to 13 overall in the country, but he's considered the number 1 cornerback in the country. I'll take it. Again, everything is subjective. So what's the difference between 11 and 13? Besides number 12 being in the middle. The movement also split him up from the number 30 overall player. And who am I talking about here? That doesn't make any sense. Anyways, let's move on. I think I left something out there. Xavier Griffin. You have he's maintained his spot. Nothing really adjusted here. He jumped up in the overall rankings from number 80 and the number 6 linebacker to number 49 overall and the number 4 linebacker, which I guess he did have a significant move. That means a 2-spot jump in the industry rankings, and he is now the number 23 overall player and the number 2 linebacker. I'm reading this as On3 released it, so I apologize for the way this is being described. What about USC's cornerback commit, Brandon Lockhart, Loyola, LA, California? He jumped up 10 spots, and he went from number 122 overall. He's now considered the number 99 overall player and is now a top 10 player in California in both rankings. You got quarterback Jonas Williams. He's from Illinois. Let's see. He slid up a bit, moving from the 94th overall to number 89 overall. He dropped 1 spot in the quarterback rankings, though. He went from number 6 to number 7. Apparently, quarterback Bo Bentley jumped into the On3 as a top 50 player. Somebody out there saw this young man. His name is Bo Bentley. All of a sudden, he went from, I don't know who he is, to top 50 player. That's how these rankings work. And that's why it's one of my life missions to get rid of these star rankings or get everybody with using the same data points. And then you can have your own people, ranking them, but at least you're all using the same data points. Because right now there's just too many. 247 uses this, On3 uses this, Rivals uses this, ESPN's off there and Neverland doing whatever they do. Anyways, how about the newest commit, Samoti? He dropped just a bit, going from the number 52 player to the number 66 player, but the overall shuffle still moved him up in the On3 industry rankings. He moved there from number 95 to number 91 and remains the number 12 player in the state of California. So I'm assuming those first 2 numbers were defensive ends. Again, too many numbers. It makes no sense. What is your ranking? Are you a number 5 player defensive end? I don't care what state you're from. Just tell me. Are you the 5th best player at your position in the country? I don't care where you are in the state. Just give us the national rankings. Does it sound like I'm on a rant? Yes, because there's just too much of BS involved, and it gets everybody hot and bothered. Well, I got the number 1 player this position, but he's the number 4 player in the country. Ugh. Makes my head spin. All right, how about Sean Alston? He made a bit of a jump, moving from number 134 to number 126, and going all the way from the number 15 running back to the number 9 running back nationally. See what I'm talking about? It just makes me. I do this because you guys like recruiting information. So here you go. You also get my commentary and testimonials and I get to editorialize it as well. So you get the best of both worlds. You got defensive lineman Braden Jones. He's another USC commitment who moved up in these rankings. He jumped nearly 30 spots, going from the 281st overall player to the 253rd overall player. He's now a top 20 defensive lineman in the On3 rankings and inside the top 200 players in the On3 industry rankings at 196. Ugh. All the recruits mentioned above are 4-star prospects in both the On3 ranking and the On3 industry ranking, which is basically they take all those other networks, throw it in the computer, spit out a number. And then as far as USC's 3-star commits, nothing as far as Joshua Holland, Madden Reardon, and you also have Jamiron Tron Baker. As far as Madden Reardon, his dad notices these rankings. And this is what he had to say when these numbers came out. He has a little bit of an issue with On3, and I think for good reason. Quote, "Wow, my son had one of the best years by a defensive back in California history. 11 interceptions versus Trinity powerhouse teams like Mater Dei, St. John Bosco, Orange Lutheran, Sierra Canyon. I mean, just to name a few. He was Sports Illustrated first team All-American. He was California's defensive back of the year in the Mission League. He was also the Mission League MVP, and he's committed to USC. Yet somehow he fell 30 spots. All right, end quote. His dad was like, all right, that makes no sense. And I agree. Can somebody please explain why a guy who had 11 interceptions last year in the toughest league in California, nonetheless, why isn't he getting more love? What is this based off of? Because it doesn't make any sense. I love recruiting. I really do. I love giving the props and the love to these prospects. But you got to look at, you're a 3-star. Oh no, you're a 4-star. Whatever. And then finally, you got USC edge Andrew Williams, the young man from Fremont High School in downtown LA, South Central LA. Well, On3 ranked him. He now has an 89 grade, it's a 3-star, but he's now the number 24th ranked prospect in California in the On3 rankings and just outside of the 4-star consideration. The top 21 prospects in the state are considered 4-star recruits. So I went through that list. There you go. There's going to be another re-ranking at the end of the summer. And then I think they do it one more time before the early signing period. So things will adjust again. And you see how I can get passionate about this, because there's just a bunch of numbers they throw at you. You're overall this, you're this and this. Stop. It's too much. It's BS. It's crap. And I don't care. It's not just about On3. It's the same for 247. It's the same for Rivals. Same for ESPN. Why so many freaking data points? So many numbers. You're the 5th best cornerback in the country. You're the 50th best cornerback in the country. You know how many players play high school football? If someone said, Mark, you're the 50th best out of 5,000, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I don't need to be segregated into, well, you're the 5th best in California, but you're the 50th best in the country. Just tell me where I am. And then show me the list of schools that want to recruit me. And then I know how good I am. One more segment to go. All right. So we've been talking about this off and on. NIL, you got revenue sharing that's coming into play here this season. Well, there's going to be some pretty stiff penalties if you break the rules. Type of penalties, I don't think you can really ruin a football program like the NCAA did to SMU and they tried to do to USC. But the conferences, ADs, people are getting together and they're coming up with some penalties for teams that break the rules. So the revenue sharing concept is expected to begin July 1st, and if the settlement is approved this spring, a final hearing is scheduled for April 7th. I mentioned on an episode last week that there's been meetings taking place down in New Orleans and Dallas. They're talking about expanding the playoffs, revenue sharing, a whole bunch of stuff's going on. Well, The SEC, their athletic directors held their meeting last week, according to Yahoo. This is where I'm getting this information from. Excuse me. And they interviewed Brian Kelly about it, asked him a couple questions. Brian Kelly entered last week's joint meeting with SEC athletic directors, admittedly skeptical of major college football's new enforcement entity. However, he did leave convinced that it would work. Quote, this is Brian Kelly. There will be real enforcement, the LSU head football coach told Yahoo Sports. It will be an across-the-board, consistent power conference enforcement with severe sanctions. They will be quick. They will be swift. I think everybody on board will be with that, end quote. So the new power conference-led enforcement entity, an LLC with a yet-to-be-named CEO, is poised to implement significant penalties for those violating a variety of revenue share-related rules, including a restriction in the number of transfers a program can add, millions in financial fines, a reduction in a team's future revenue share pool, and multi-game suspension for coaches. So the story went on to add that these are only ideas and concepts are under discussion, but they were discussed with coaches and athletic directors last week in meetings in New Orleans as power conference leaders work to create this nameless non-NCAA enforcement entity. And the more that, the details are coming out, this is what we're hearing. So you're going to have a transition team of athletic directors and general counsels from the Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, ACC, and the two-team Pac-12 conference. They're going to establish new rules around the revenue sharing concept, as well as penalties for violating those rules, such as those found to have exceeded the annual revenue share cap, those tampering with players under contract at other schools, and those circumventing the cap by using boosters to compensate athletes. Those exceeding the cap will endure financial fines of 3 to 5 times the amount that has been exceeded and could see their following year's total revenue share pool reduced by the exceeded amount. For example, if Oregon exceeds the cap by $1 million in 2025, 2026, it could be fined as $5 million, as much as $5 million plus its pool for the 2026-2027 season would also be reduced by another $1 million. I just pulled Oregon's name out of a hat. It could be anybody. It could be Oklahoma. Calm down, everybody. Sarcasm. It was a joke. However, perhaps there is even a stiffer penalty under discussion. Check this out. The new enforcement arm may reduce the amount of transfer players that a school could add to its roster, multiple coaches and administrators. They confirmed that to Yahoo. I'll tell you what, I like all that. Everything that I just read off to you, I like it all. Make it as draconian as possible. You have to be able to instill fear. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. Tough love. They're also working on a clearinghouse. The clearinghouse is going to verify any and all name, image, and likeness deals that are over $600. Essentially, athletes must submit to the clearinghouse all third-party deals of $600 or more, those deals that are deemed to be struck with a school-affiliated entity, NIL collective, school marketing arm, a booster-owned business, school foundation, multimedia rights partner, etc., will undergo more scrutiny as part of it. Deloitte's fair market value analysis. All payments made to athletes after June this year are expected to be subject to the new clearinghouse. So there you go. A lot of stuff's in motion right now. The folks behind the scenes are trying to figure out the rules for revenue sharing and NIL, the penalties that will be involved. USC is recruiting like a mother. People around the country are recognizing USC is recruiting like a mother. Like I said, USC, whoever's driving the car right now, pedal is to the metal. They are going fast, furious, and they're looking to get stuff done immediately. They want to win this race. All right, there you go. That's it for this episode of Locked On USC. I will be back again tomorrow with another episode. Going to fill in the gaps with whatever's going on with recruiting. Talk about the football team. If I come across any other news and notes, little nuggets that I run across now and then, you'll hear about it here as well. So until that next episode of Locked On USC, everyone, you know what to do.